Hello and welcome to The Good, the Bad and the Worst, a podcast where normally we watch film trilogies and rate them and rank them and decide which one's the worst. This week we're talking about Squid Game, a TV show that nobody cares about anymore, and we probably don't remember as well as we should to do a podcast about it, but we're going to have some fun with it anyway. Joining me this week...
I'm your lovable gun boo, and I'm good at everything except the things that I can't do.
And I'm Luke Morgan, and good rain knows the best time to fall.
That's a good quote.
How
That's
poetic.
a genuinely good quote.
How poetic.
From one of the VIPs, the best characters in the show.
The only line of dialogue they deliver that's not horse crap.
Yeah.
Squid Game, what a weird thing, hey? Came out of nowhere and is like the biggest thing in the world at the moment. How did you guys come across it? How did you feel about it? Luke?
So, obviously, like we have our fingers on the pulse of like pop culture. We are hitting this right as it's popular. So Squid Game, I first saw it as like an ad. You know how they pop up on Netflix and they have a date on them? Like it's just an ad and it says like coming, November 12th or whatever.
Yeah.
And I saw that about maybe 2 weeks before it was actually a thing, and just scrolling through, and my wife and I were sitting there scrolling through Netflix. I saw that, and it was just the image of all the pink soldiers walking up the steps, and there was like blood drop down the stairs and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, man, what the hell is that? That is weird, and I'm never going to watch that. And kept scrolling, and then all of a sudden, everyone was talking about this show and raving about how great it was. And then, I just one night we sat there and watched it and were hooked and watched it over 2 or 3 nights, I felt like. So, yeah.
Conan, I feel like you held out the longest of us.
I did, because I too had my finger on the hipster pulse, and I was like, I'm not going to like something that's popular because that's not what we do.
Yeah.
But eventually I gave in because, I enjoy death matches as much as anybody. I found out about this show I was looking for a sport to satisfy my love of animals and killing each other. And so I was like, I like calamari. So I typed in Squid Kill Game, and sure enough, this popped up. I was like, it's not what I want. It doesn't have enough squids in it, but it'll do.
No.
It really was just it was the Tiger King of 2021, right? Every single person was watching it. Netflix was plugging it hard. They went really hard on the marketing. And so once they realized they had a bit of a hit, they leaned into it so heavily, which was a good choice. And everybody was talking about it, like it was coming up on, IndieWire, IGN, every single pop culture medium and like journal was coming up with it. People I don't talk to anymore, whenever I'd run into them, they're like, hey, you watching this show? I'm like, what the hell?
Like me. Like I was messaging you guys being like, hey, you really need to watch this show.
These country white boys were in on it. And I was like, why are you guys getting into Korean stuff now? Because I was there back in the day.
Yep.
And so finally I was like, look, I feel like I need to be I can't be that guy who just doesn't watch anything popular forever. So I was like, sure, I'll give it a go. And, I'm not as, I don't love it as much as some people, but it was definitely, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's definitely enjoyable. I resisted for a while, but like literally everybody was talking about it. You felt kind of left out online. What do you do? You give in to the masses and conform, give in to the peer pressure.
Exactly.
And like you say, our audience was, they were screaming for it. They're like, please do Squid Game, guys. Take a break from your scheduled broadcasting.
And
so
we said we can't. It's not a trilogy. And they were like, we'll forgive you. The fans want this, please.
And so just in time for the finale, we're recording this. It's great.
Yep.
All right. Let's get into the first episode, hey? So the first episode. Now, look, I'm just going to apologize in advance. I'm going to butcher some Korean names. I apologize. If you have better pronunciation, please write in and tell me what I'm doing wrong. So, Episode 1, Ji-hoon is down on his luck, having accumulated enormous debts with loan sharks while becoming estranged from his daughter and ex-wife. At a train station, a well-dressed man asks him to play a game of dojaki for money and offers an opportunity to play more games with much higher stakes. Ji-hoon accepts, is knocked unconscious, and awakens in a dormitory with 455 others, identified only by the numbers on their tracksuits. A group of masked staff in jumpsuits arrive and explain that the players are all in dire financial straits, but will be given billions of won in prize money if they can win 6 games over 6 days. The games are overseen by the front man, who is masked and dressed in black. Ji-hoon befriends player 001, an elderly man suffering from a brain tumor. He also recognizes two other players, Cho Sang-woo, a childhood classmate who became an investment broker, and player 67, a pickpocket who stole Ji-hoon's money after he won at a horse race. The first game is a deadly iteration of red light, green light, where anyone caught moving is shot dead on the spot. With the help of Sang-woo and player 199, Ji-hoon finishes the game alive. I nearly got there without completely stuffing up my reading.
Yeah, you did good. Kudos. Did you guys remember red light, green light? Was that a thing you played?
No.
I think the Australian version is like, "What's the time, Mr. Wolf?"
Yes, that's exactly what I said.
Oh yeah, I played that.
Yeah. It's
So
like the exact same game, I'm sure.
Yeah, it basically is. That would have felt more threatening. No, what's the time, Mr. Wolf?
If there was a wolf that just leapt out and attacked you, that would be frightening.
Yeah, they just let wolves out, like they had the scent of them players. They were like, go get player 67.
Oof.
That's Australian. That's the Australian Squid Game.
That's Kangaroo Game.
Shrimp on the barbecue.
Yeah, I'd watch that.
Man, look, you said to us at the beginning has some real Parasite vibes, and I'm like, no, it doesn't. But there's definitely some Parasite vibes there. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, definitely. Like the first episode, it's kind of it's funny looking back because obviously, the whole season's mostly in the Squid Games. I really like the first episode, and I don't know, like I think a lot of the stuff outside of the Squid Games I found really interesting, and I really liked I liked the sort of the acting and everything of him and his family and his daughter, and I was really invested in that, in the relationship with his ex-wife and her new husband and everything like that, and that dynamic. I was really fascinated to see more of that, and then obviously they get stuck into the games for the whole season. But definitely, I really enjoyed the first episode, and it's something that I could now, watching the whole season, would like to go back and watch again, sort of thing, knowing these characters a bit more and everything. But yeah,
I feel
I really like. Oh, you go.
I was just gonna say, I feel like Ji-hoon's not very. I didn't feel very sympathetic towards him in the first episode. Like he's stealing money from his grandmother or his mother, whoever it is, and he's just kind of. But I feel like the same thing is in Parasite. Like I didn't feel a lot of sympathy for those characters at the start. They seemed kind of, I don't know, scummy. But I guess it's the desperation that they have to try and get out of the situation that they're in.
Would you say they seem parasitic?
Maybe just a little bit.
Parasites.
Like Squid.
That's good, Conan. That's good. Yeah, he's not a good dad.
No,
he's not a good dad. Like the fact that he's just bumming off his mum, and she's doing all this work. He's just sitting there eating this food, and she gives him money, and he's like, "Oh, what's this for?" And he's like, "It's your daughter's birthday." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And she's like, "Get her favorite food." And then he goes and puts it on gambling, and then buys her the cheapest food possible, because he lost all his money to loan sharks. It's man,
but not his fault because he was robbed, man.
Yeah, he's pickpocketed.
Yeah. But still, if he wasn't pickpocketed, the loan sharks would have taken it anyway because he owed them money, and they caught up to him in the bathroom. It's just, the first episode, I was like, I don't care if this dude dies. I was like, man, he's a scumbag.
Yeah.
Obviously, I grew to love the character, but it's frustrating watching that sort of stuff in the first episode.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the first episode. Luke, like you say, I actually really like all the stuff outside of the games. The episode where they go back into the real world, and then you sort of see them. You see Life 2.0, and they're trying to make it work again.
Yeah,
and it's just this great sort of look at this is a slice of life of modern day Korea, and it's it's hard. It's not easy. I know I read a lot of fascinating stuff, talking about how all Korean cinema is really focused on class disparity. And Bong Joon-ho, who's obviously the Korean director everybody knows after Parasite, all of his films are obsessed with it as well. Even though they don't, Parasite very clearly deals with it. The rest of them don't, but it's all baked into them. And I think this is another example. Even with just being a show about a cool death match, it's got a very obvious theme, right? A very obvious philosophy on how capitalism is like a game that you die in.
Yeah.
And I think it does a really good job, just showing the desperation of this guy. That even though you're right, he's not likable. Characters don't have to be likable; they just have to be relatable. And he's ultra relatable because you totally know what it's like. I think most people know what it's like being poor to some extent. They know what it's like struggling. And so you see this guy who's clearly just been, bit of a jackass, but he's completely trodden on as well. And you're like, how good would it be to win on the ponies, man?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. He's pathetic, but in a way you do sympathize with him, and you want stuff to work out for him. You wish he could just win the lotto or something and then do it. But yeah. And that's glancing over the fact I keep forgetting that the present he gets his daughter, that he wins from the claw machine is this
it's a
handgun, and he's thinks it's a real, and it's just a lighter, obviously, but he's legit it's a handgun. Yeah, of course I get that for you.
I love that scene where the kid wins it for him, and he's just so excited, and they're jumping up together. It's it's little moments like that, like you see that he's like a big kid in a way. He doesn't really know how to be an adult, and it's oh, that's fun.
Yeah,
he chooses to gamble again as a way to get his daughter a gift. Instead of maybe he could have bought her a nicer meal instead, right? But
yeah, it's great.
We get introduced to a few other characters. How did you guys feel about them in the first episode? I feel like the old man, until the big reveal at the end, serves as Ji-hoon's heart. This is the man. Ji-hoon obviously takes pity on him and helps him out in a lot of cases, and that's where you start to develop. Oh, Ji-hoon's actually a good dude. His heart's in the right place, and so he serves well in that role, I guess. But
yeah, and he's really likable. They've got a really nice
rapport. Yeah,
they've got a really nice relationship sort of from the get go. Where I'm just going to call him protagonist. I'm going to call everybody in this by their roles rather than their names because it's going to be too difficult because I'm ignorant. So protagonist is just he clearly respects him and he's really nice to him. And the old man's, he's like a lovable old man. He just gives some wisdom and he's polite. And you're I kind of wish you were my old uncle.
And then he's cackling maniacally a minute later, and you don't know why, but that's okay.
That's the thing. Him playing Il-nam playing red light, green light was great. I love that he's just
the power walk,
prancing forward and and he's dancing. I did see an interesting video online that sort of played that scene and showed that he's kind of not highlighted, as in he wasn't in danger. There's this thing where when it goes into the camera view of the doll, and he's there, he doesn't have the same sort of thing around him that the other players do to analyze him. So it's kind of a fake thing that he wasn't actually in danger, and he's just there hey, everyone's getting shot. Look at me playing the game low, but who knows?
Yeah, it's one of those things I was kind of curious about if I should ever rewatch it and look for those clues.
Yeah.
And there are a few moments that, looking back, I'm that's pretty obvious. We'll talk about the one that comes out later, but yeah, it'll be a fun thing to see if there's a lot of little bits sewn in or not.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he was never really in danger, was he? I don't know. I feel like he wanted the danger, but
except that night when everyone's shanking each other, and he's
was he in danger though? How'd he get up on the bed, man? How'd he get up on the bed?
Well, his bed frame's the only one they don't purposely knock over. They knock over everyone else's and then leave his up there, but
it's attached to the floor.
I don't know. Yeah, I feel like he actually was, and that's why they call a stop to it and just oh no, that's enough. That's enough.
No, the only one he's in danger with is the Tug of War, right?
I mean, technically,
you have to wonder, would they save the whole team just to save him?
Yeah, I don't think they would, right? Because you see, protagonist, his foot goes over the edge, and so it could actually go bad. It looks like it's going to. So no, at what point do they be how do you even save someone from that in the middle of a tug of war match? Just everyone stop and they do it.
Drop the guillotine.
I guess
cut the rope.
Yeah.
How did you guys feel about red light, green light?
I think it's a very easy introduction to show what the games are, to be look, it's serious. People will get killed. While not being an overly exciting game, it does have the MVP moment of Ali saving him. And catching him with what strength?
With the
what
strength
told him up?
I feel like he's not buff enough for what he does, right?
Nah.
I kind of want to just be this jacked dude, but
he's the guy in anime who rips off his shirt and has just got muscles on muscles on muscles.
Yes, I was waiting for that reveal where he takes it off for some reason. It's bam!
Ultra Instinct Ali.
That explains everything.
But yeah, no, I think it's it's memorable because of the doll, and I saw a lot of memes about that before I'd started watching the show and everything, and I didn't know what was going on. Obviously, out of all the games, it's not a very exciting one. You know, I don't like think of that scene too much. But yeah, a safe introduction to show that the stakes are real.
It was and like they kill half the players or something in it, don't they? Like
Yeah,
very close.
more than half.
Like it,
I think.
yeah, it feels really brutal, and like it's like he wasn't even moving, and then there's another dude over here talking, and they don't shoot him, but I don't know, it feels a bit random in places, but yeah, that doll like is there's some really good like imagery, just like I don't know, they keep coming back to it. It's really cool, and like the first time you see the soldiers, and they've got the different like the PlayStation symbols on their
PlayStation
masks,
symbols.
and like
Yeah.
it's just really cool, like iconography. It looks, I don't know, it has a very unique visual style that I think is part of what I think attracted to people. That's what attracted me to it at first on Netflix. It's like, what the hell is this? Like, this is just
colorful.
yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
it's really got like a distinctive art style to it, and I really like it. Quick tangent. Did you know that the creator of the show purposely used them symbols because he loves PlayStation?
Doesn't
I read that article.
He did an
saw
interview,
that.
and they said like, how come like, it was something about not using like another symbol or something like from another.
Why didn't you use the X?
The X, yeah. And he
Yeah.
said because that's on other controllers, and I only like PlayStation. So he's like, yeah, just those other three.
Were you just
Funny.
did your heart skip a beat when he said that? I'm just like,
Oh, I was like, I'm just loyal to
I-
the show. I'll defend it to the
like,
grave because
Squid Game is the best show ever made.
Step aside Breaking Bad, all of that. Squid
Yeah.
Game is my new love. So
Yeah, that I think you're like it goes really far having easily recognizable things. Like you see a dude in a jumpsuit with a mask, and you're like, that's Squid Game. I know what that is.
yeah,
And it really just it helps you to like I don't know, kind of helps you make these mental shortcuts of like, oh yeah, I'm always being exposed to it because I see one thing, I recognize it, I think about it. It's a good way to keep you into it, like keep you invested in a show.
right before
and
Halloween too. Perfect
Right
time.
before Halloween, everyone dressed up as Squid Game guards.
yeah.
And it really plays into the whole theme of, you know, the death of childhood and real world responsibility, where it's got a child doll, it's got these guys dressed in colorful outfits, they climb up the weird pink stairs.
Yeah,
But
that
then-
room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which makes no sense. I don't know. Anyway,
It
Why
has
not?
like even the music's kind of whimsical. Obviously, like they're playing like these killer real games that are like made for kids and stuff, but like the musical has like the flutes and like it's like very much like, hey, we're in the playground playing, and it's like, but
Yeah.
you'll all die.
Yeah.
I really liked how simple it was to like see the ranks of the soldiers too. Like as that comes into play later on, like it's really handy knowing triangles at the top and then it's square or whatever the order was. Just very very well thought out, I thought.
Yeah.
How did you guys feel about Cho Sang-woo, his childhood friend, the investment broker, the ultimate antagonist, I guess, in the end?
Oh, especially after the marble game, man, I just was like, dude, nah.
But
you're
how
not
did you
cool
feel
in
about
my
him in
book
the first
anymore.
episode, though?
So I liked him. I liked the interesting dynamic. I think it's the second episode, isn't it, when we see him interact with Ali, like at the bus stop or whatever. That's after they're out of the game, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, they get taken.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. What does he do in the first one where he doesn't really help him, does he?
Doesn't he show him how to hide behind someone else?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
That's him, yeah.
During
I think the
green
only
light.
time he helps him.
Yeah.
The rest of the season. He goes to help him and he's like, nah, I won't do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
Yeah.
And I think the other main character is the pickpocket, player 67. Any opinions on her? I feel like she was kind of a wasted character.
Sabyok?
Yes.
Sabyok?
Yeah. I think her most powerful moment comes when it's actually another character's most powerful moment. Like in episode 6 when she talks to the other girl. It's kind of like her character
in the marble game.
Yeah.
Her character brings out that story and sort of really has a huge emotional payoff. And the pickpocket's own story isn't really we know what it. No, it's fine, but there's no real. I know. I agree with Grono. I think it's kind of wasted. Like you understand why she's doing it, but there's never any real emotional fight with it. It's always just, yeah, she's got a reason to be here, and it's family. But I mean, so do a lot of them.
I like her scene with her little brother, like when like she's talking to him and everything like that at the start, and but I get that. That's definitely one of the most emotional things. And she is this like cold person, doesn't trust and doesn't want to let her guard down or anything like that for most of the show. But even like her speech to Ji-hoon, like in the second last episode or the last episode before the final game, like before her death, spoilers. I found
This
that
is a
powerful.
spoiler cast, right? We can agree.
Like we're gonna spoil who dies in Squid Game, but like there was genuinely a part of me for a lot of it that wanted her to win. Like I don't know why. Like
Yeah.
I wanted her to win, and like we'll get into it when we talk about that episode, but like the shrapnel really pissed me off. I was like,
I
oh
agree.
man.
Same. We'll get there.
So we'll get into that. Yeah.
Yeah, I always wanted her to do more. Like I really enjoyed. I know it's not episode 1, but where she gets into the vents and starts exploring. It's like, oh, she's got skills. Like she's really going to be an asset, and she just like pretty much after that does very little.
Yeah, true.
It's a little frustrating.
There's a lot of moments like that. The other one that comes to mind is in the massacre, when you sort of see her, she's ready, and it's like, oh, okay, she's actually going to have some ninja skills. She's going to she's going to kill somebody.
Yeah.
And she just doesn't. She kind of she survives, but only barely. And I was like, I don't know. I do feel like they're hinting it a lot with her, and yet they never really deliver, which is a shame.
No, that's right. Yeah. It's frustrating. All right, anything else to say about episode 1? No, let's do episode 2. With over half of the players killed in the first game, many survivors demand to be released. Using the game's third clause, they successfully vote to cancel the game and send everyone home, but without any prize money. Back in Seoul, Ji-hoon goes to the police, but no one believes him except Detective Jun-ho, whose brother received the same invitation card and has recently disappeared. The players are invited to re-enter the game, and many return out of desperation. This includes Ji-hoon, whose mother needs surgery, Sang-woo, who is about to be arrested for financial fraud, Player 1, who does not wish to die out in the outside world, Player 67, who wishes to rescue her parents from North Korea and get her little brother out of an orphanage, and Player 199, a Pakistani immigrant worker who attacked and gravely injured his boss for withholding his wages. And Player 101, Jang Deok-so, a gangster on the run from gambling debts. Jun-ho secretly follows Ji-hoon when he is picked up by the game staff. So this is the other episode where we get to see them in the outside world. How did you guys feel about the voting? Were you surprised that they voted to not play?
Yeah,
I thought it was the best way to subvert that, right? You're expecting there to be bad feelings, but they actually take the risk and go, no, we won't do it. We'll give you a bit of a taste of the outside again.
Especially with it being like Il-nam, because he loved the first game. He had a ball by the looks of it.
A blast.
So I was like, this crazy old man's going to keep them in there, but no.
But I mean, knowing where his character ends up, does it seem a bit out of place that he does vote no?
He knows
he knows
that
they're going to come back.
He knows who they've picked and that their lives are not great on the outside.
It does make you wonder, does this happen every year? Is there a revolt after the first game? Every year, everybody leaves. 95% of them come back. And they're the ones that want to be there anyway, so it's more entertaining. I don't know. that's
the vibe you sort of get with the very ending, right? Where the games are still going. So there's clearly a bigger system here that it's either even if this vote doesn't happen every time, there's always going to be people to bring into this. There's always going to be people who are keen to play, because I think it's trying to say that capitalism is like a game. I don't know. I could be wrong. I might be misreading it, but
like a Squid Game.
I suspect that's what they're saying.
Yeah,
it's a never-ending circle that just keeps repeating on itself, right?
Yep,
that's it.
So we get to see the guys in the outside world. It was interesting seeing their motivation for going back in, just seeing how they weren't really any better off, in the real world.
Yeah. But I think the one that sort of stands out is Ali, who I'm he has to run, but it's not like he's in a super bad spot. I feel like when he gets out again, it's only then when he cuts his boss's hand off, shoving in a bit of machinery.
What a douchey boss, though, right?
No, completely deserved. That boss deserved to lose his arm for not giving him wages when he's working his ass off for it. And then he has to go on the run, basically. But it's interesting to see that because like you see him with his family and like he's a good dad and like all this sort of thing, and it's just like it makes things so much crap down the line.
Like
But
seeing how good he is with his family and how much he cares about them and how he was moving there for a better life, and then crossing that with him like mangling his boss's hand, like it's pretty brutal.
yeah,
It's kind of heart wrenching, like knowing that
it's not like
he's kind of
he
screwed, right?
needs to do it. It's just like this flare of passion that then the boss gets stuck in there. It's like, it's just unfortunate circumstances. But
Yeah.
he's kind of the opposite of like Ji-hun, who he's a good dad. Like, he's trying to do everything for his family as opposed to like taking from his family by being selfish or due to his vices or anything like that.
Yeah.
But
Yep. He's a really necessary character as well in the whole like the subtext about, class disparity and stuff. And I don't know if they tap into it too much, but there's that episode where like the older lady and a few of the others, they all really are like they criticize him. They're like, "You're a foreigner. You're like, what do you know? You're not even from here." And so it clearly plays the fact that it's like he is the outcast of this. Like as an immigrant in Korea, he's got it worse than the people who already have it really bad, who are willing to die for money. He's got it worse because he's also like persecuted by them. And so it's really his whole arc is super necessary. Like this is kind of this is a group of people in Korea who also are going through this thing in a different way.
Yeah.
And they could have worked with it. They could have done more to flesh that out, but it's not the point. Like their experience isn't the main point, so they don't need to go into huge depth, I guess.
But that's the thing, you kind of feel like the whole thing with the wages and his boss, you feel like there's like a racial thing there, but like the reason why
right.
he's treating him like crap.
Yeah.
And
I mean, how many immigrant workers around the world are like paid unfairly though? Like you hear about it a lot.
Exactly
You see
right.
it a lot.
Exactly, and I think it plays into the whole thing as well about him not knowing about these childhood games, like and them having to explain them to him like as they go, and like, oh, so what's this one? Like I obviously didn't play it when I was a kid, but
Yeah.
we
would have been we would have been the same. It was like they should have just been like, no, it's what's the time, Miss Wolf? And you're like, oh, I know this game.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
I really like him as well because he works as a good like perspective to show us the class disparity in terms of how he greets all the characters. Like he constantly like bows and is really polite to is it Sung Woo, the friend?
Yeah.
And every time he does, he's like, thank you, sir, and he's so overly like he knows that he has to obey the class structure. And to the old man, he's always really careful about that. And I think there's a lot of stuff that gets lost in translation that we'll probably talk about at some point, but I think they did a good job with him because he really shows you, he has to talk this way because he is the bottom of the rung, right?
Yeah.
Like, if he doesn't show this respect, he's not going to get far. He's not going to go anywhere. So he's really overtly, like, polite to everybody to his detriment in the end, which also has some good thematic weight.
Yeah. Sangwoo, how did you guys feel about his circumstances in the outside world? To me, he seemed like his circumstances are almost more, in some ways, are more relatable than some of the other characters. Like he doesn't think twice about giving Ali like the bus fare. Like that's fine, but he's just got this crippling debt over him,
hanging over his head.
Yeah,
as
and like
we all do.
as someone more in the middle class rather than the low. Like it's like I'm not worried about where I'm going to find money for my next meal, but am I going to be able to pay my mortgage this month as well as fix the problem that I have in the car? Like these things can weigh you down, and not that I'm comparing myself to the circumstances some of these characters are in, but I think that it feels a bit more relatable, I guess, than trying to scrounge together a few dollars to buy some ramen for tea, I guess.
Yeah, and man, like touching on him for a minute, just like God, I feel bad for his mum. Like she's like so sweet and she cares so much and thinks so highly of him and like praising him to everybody she knows, and she's like working in this fish shop and everything like that, doing what she can. And poor girl.
Yep. I think as well his whole thing about like the responsibility that's sort of placed on him, like everybody, like Gi-hun keeps saying it. He's like, this is Sang Woo from Prophet who went to university, and so there's this constant repetition of like
he's smart, he's the
best. Yeah, it's like no
Yeah.
matter what happens, he's our savior because he's sort of the one who got out of our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And there is that. I think that's a really interesting sort of thing where that responsibility, in no way excuses him, but it adds to his character. Where like that's why he's sort of in that situation in a way, because you can't disappoint people, and the fear of disappointing people is often so much heavier than other things that you'll create these lies and you'll do dumb stuff because you want to make sure that everyone's still, that people think you're worth it.
Trying to keep up
It's
that
a-
facade, yeah.
Yeah, there's a real tragedy to him because it's like he's in this situation almost because of everyone else, because everyone else was banking on him to help them. And it's like, well, he's got to kill Ali because, his mum won't think well of him.
Spoilers.
Like, if my mum didn't think I was very good, I'd probably kill someone.
Kill for that.
I love my mum.
Would you kill me?
I double take for sure.
This is a revelation on this podcast.
Squid Game.
And in the second episode, that's when we also see like Ji-hoon with his ex-wife, don't we? And like him asking for money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And him being a doof to the new husband who offers him the money. Obviously, he's like, stay out of their life. And he punches, dude, your mum's dying at home. Take the damn money, stop being a douche, get your life sorted, and then try and get involved with your kid's life again. Like, oh man, frustrating.
Pride does bad things, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, he's still not the most sympathetic character at this point, but we get there.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, episode 3. Jun-ho successfully infiltrates the games by disguising himself as a masked worker, and it is revealed that the location is a remote island. The players are now more prepared and start forming alliances. Ji-hoon, Sang-woo, Player 1, and Player 199 team up. Player 67 explores an air vent and witnesses workers melting pots of sugar. The second game is revealed to be Popogi, where each player must perfectly extract a stamped shape from a Dalgona honeycomb candy under a 10-minute time limit. Sang-woo learns of Player 67's discovery and recognizes the game beforehand, but does not warn his teammates and chooses the simplest shape for himself. Ji-hoon ends up with the most difficult shape, an umbrella, but is able to complete the game by licking the back of the honeycomb to melt it. Player 212, a rowdy manipulative woman, helps Deoksu complete the game by smuggling in a lighter. A scared player who is about to be executed takes a staff member hostage and forces him to unmask. Shocked that the staff member is a young man, the player commits suicide and the staff member is killed in front of the man for revealing his identity. Is this the most iconic game in all of Squid Game?
The amount of memes I saw of just him looking in the tin.
Yeah.
Much more than, I don't know. The doll is more recognizable, but
probably, yeah.
I saw so many more memes about this.
I feel like this is the one that I've seen so many YouTube videos of people being like trying the Squid Game and like doing this at home or making this themselves, and one that I would be interested if like we ever had like a boys' night. Let's do the Squid Game. Let's like carve out honeycomb 10 minutes before you get shot in the head. I think this is like an iconic game. The whole area there of the playground, like people are sitting up on the top of slippery dips
Slides
and
and
like
stuff,
the painted walls and everything like that. Before we get into the actual game itself, something I didn't really touch on that's part of this episode, but also part of the last episode that you mentioned. Jun-ho, who like Gun-ho, I like that little play on things. I really liked him infiltrating it. Like I in that second episode when he gets in, I was like, yes, he's like infiltrating and he's like outsmarting them and getting in there and taking the outfits and stuff. I found that really cool, and I really enjoyed the whole like trying to blend in and everything like that. Especially when like they notice him not shooting people and like I'm going to talk to you afterwards, but then luckily that person gets shot, so he takes his mask and levels up to supervisor.
All right, that's my question. How does he take that mask and no one notices?
It's the same reason why no one notices this obvious girl sitting there with a lighter that she smuggled in, and she's like trying to hide, and she's just sitting under a slippery dip right in front of the guards who like know the second someone breaks the honeycomb to shoot him.
Kids used to smoke under the slippery dip in school, and they would get away with it. So maybe it's not so obvious.
Yeah.
That one though, I feel you can kind of excuse because, like, as you learn later on, there are kind of no rules here. Like, you can kill people.
Maybe they don't care. So thinks they will. Yeah,
because I get that impression that they actually don't care how you do it. Hence why even when he's licking the honeycomb, like that's technically cheating, but it still works, right? Whereas with the mask, I'm like, they killed a dude because he took his face off, and then this guy just picks up his mask and's like, I'll swap this around later.
Yeah, they didn't, because he kept both masks. Like, he was using both masks, so it's not like He swapped it
I
over.
didn't see him.
Yeah,
I didn't see him walk out with another mask though.
he just shoved it down
That's
his
right.
pants.
It's like, it's well endowed. Okay.
Yeah, I really like this game, and like it had me like on the edge of my seat, like as he's like licking the hell out of it at the end. And I'm like, oh god, he's running out of time. And like this is the first real time like where you see Sing Woo completely be like, okay, he can die. Like, I can
Yeah.
let my friend die. I'll let him take the worst shot. Like he's going to it. All I have to say is no, don't. But I'm not going to. I'll let him go to the umbrella and screw him over. But
It's
yeah,
really tense how like you don't know what the game is. Like you know what Sangwoo's where Sangwoo's told him to go, but you don't know what the game is till like right at the reveal, and it's like you think he's
yeah,
helping them or you're not sure, and then it's like really obvious. Oh wait, he's kind of screwed him over here.
yeah.
Yeah. But there's still that internal conflict, right? Where he's like he wants to, but he's like I can't tell him yet because
Oh,
I
but
still
like
put
he says, like, are you sure you want the umbrella?
yeah,
Like
Yeah.
when he says he'll go to the umbrella, he's like, oh no, don't. Okay,
yeah,
yeah, okay,
yeah.
all right.
It's a really important character moment for all of them because you learn that Gi-hun is like street smart, right? He can figure out this way by licking the honeycomb.
Mm.
So okay, he can win these games by just using his intelligence.
He does have some
And you
skills.
learn, yeah, exactly. He's not just a useless father. And then his friend is obviously gonna be. It's kind of a clear trajectory, but you go, okay, this is how the seeds get planted. He's going to go down this path. And the old man's just, I don't know how the old man did it, but good for him.
He's a maniac.
Like that star would be super difficult, but he's just.
It would be. Umbrella's harder, I reckon, but you're right. Star would be
yeah,
difficult.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely. But like you said earlier, this if had her going through the vents and like finding out what was going on behind the scenes and everything like that. Which yeah, also that's cool, but it's also like, man, the other girl like screaming in the toilets and telling the guard, and the guard's just like, it's like, oh man,
Brilliant.
oh,
She's so over the top. How did you guys find that character?
so
Yoksu.
so annoying. I really found her annoying.
You're supposed to,
Which
though.
I'm sure is the point. Like, is the point. She did that great, but like, man, every time she was talking, I was just like frustrated. I was just like, shut up. Like, oh, just go away. Like, die. Like, go and die. Has a badass exit at the end, but I found it, yeah. And that's her role, to be annoying and frustrating and everything like that. But yeah.
I feel like on a whole, this show has a lot of problems with like loose ends. And she's a good example where I think her character is correct. Like she is annoying, but you see that she's like the ultimate survivor. She's willing to do anything. She'll side with anyone, and it's constantly tipping this idea of she's not actually with the gangster. She's using him, and he thinks he's using her. And so it's constantly playing this idea that she's actually going to potentially come out on top or be one of the finalists because she is willing to she's a chameleon. She just assumes whatever form she needs to.
Yeah.
And I feel like her ending, she gets the guy, but I don't know. I felt it was kind of unsatisfying having all these major deaths in that moment. I feel like she should have done a bit more.
That second last is the second last game. Like really, just let's just thin the numbers. Let's get to the last few people.
Very much. It's just like, oh, now it's the finale all of a sudden, and we're down at the final three. But
and as a game, it's kind of crappy. Right? It's like everything else has skill involved. This is just dumb luck, which we'll talk about. But it was very much like like you say, we've got to thin the numbers, and so anyway.
All right, episode 4.
I like her.
Yeah, there's definitely something to her, and like as over the top as she was in the toilets, it was pretty fun. There's something enjoyable about it for sure. Episode 4, Player 111. A disgraced doctor secretly works with a handful of staff to harvest organs from dead players to sell on the black market in return for information on upcoming games. When Deoksu kills a player accusing him of taking extra food, all the staff does nothing to stop him, and the prize money value is increased. After lights out, a riot erupts in the dormitory as players attack each other. Ji-Hoon's group survives and exchanges names to build trust. Player 199 is Ali Abdul, player 67 is Sang Byuk, and player 1, because of his brain tumor, has trouble remembering his name. Player 212 is Man Hei Niao. Player 212 has sex with Deoksu. In the third game, players are told to form groups of 10. For Ji-Hoon's team, Xiao Byuk recruits player 240, a girl close to her age. The game is revealed to be Tug of War on 2 raised platforms where a team wins by dragging the opposing team off the platform to their deaths. Yoksu, having learned of the game from player 111 beforehand, picks only strong men and rejects Minyao, who joins Gihun's team. After Yoksu's team win their match, Jihun's team struggles against another all-male team. We don't actually get to see the end of the Tug of War game in this one. This is the cliffhanger episode.
I hate that ending so much.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Especially when they know it's I guess because it's a binging show, they're like, well, we'll make it a cliffhanger and you'll watch the next one straight away.
And that's why binge TV's bad, because it's bad storytelling, man. That's the worst place to end an episode.
You can't act like TV didn't do this sort of stuff before that, though.
Never been as heinous as that.
No, Lost did a lot of bad ones, and then it was like, wait till next season, wait till next 2 weeks away.
Lost gives you a question. Lost never had like someone's about to like he shoots the gun. It's like, where's the bullet gonna go?
No, we definitely saw like seasons of TV end with someone getting shot and you not knowing which person died. That definitely happened more than once in television before binge TV.
Walking Dead.
That's the bad TV.
With Negan. Negan kills someone.
Yeah, that's right.
And you don't know who it is.
That's right.
That was also terrible. That's where that show died. So it says a lot about it.
So is the organ harvesting like the weirdest subplot in this show? Like it very much peters out.
Let's talk about this. How the hell do they get that set up? It's like, hey, you a doctor? Come with me.
Like,
does he ask him? He's like, hey.
There's a lot of questions about how people are recruited, how the soldiers are recruited. Like, were these soldiers here every year? So that's how they like set this area up, and like in a place with so much surveillance, how did they get away with this? Like, it doesn't make a ton of sense.
Because they have the one person in the surveillance room who's like, getting rid of the footage as it's happening, but it's like it's very much like they recruited all these people. They would have had to have talked to the doctor like before all this, because it's not like right after the first game they're like, hey, you know what we should do? We should start harvesting organs. Let's try and see what we can figure out. And it's like it happens out of nowhere. It's like, okay, what's happening? And so when you first see it, it's like, okay, is he friends with like the boss of this game? Like is something going on? Like they're getting him out of here. What's going on? This is going to be a big subplot. And then it disappears after like one episode because like they find out obviously and get rid of them.
Yeah.
It is interesting for a time, and frustrating because obviously, you have is it what's his name, Duxu, like who knows like that it's going to be Tug of War and choosing the right players, and old Jihun gets stuck with old man and all the frail people and the religious guy and his assortment of odd characters. But yeah, it's a weird subplot that disappears pretty quick.
Especially because you see how the lengths it goes to keep characters separate. Like the guards have their own room. They don't do anything but sleep in there and then they work.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, how do they all agree on this setup, right? Like, do they all conveniently stumble upon this room and were like, do you want to smuggle organs?
Yeah. Hey, you a doctor. You know what we could do?
Yeah, at first I thought like him marking the coffin, he's like, oh, he's going to help. This person's not dead. He's going to help them escape or something like that. But like, no, he's harvesting the organs.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, is it like, the soldiers are friends on the outside? They knew the doctor or something, but the soldiers don't even know each other. They're like, oh, where's 23? Where's this? It's like, it's this really weird thing like that's happened out of nowhere. But
yeah. I was like, it's necessary, obviously, for the cop to sort of infiltrate it that way.
It gives him some room to move around a bit, yeah.
Yeah, it shows you that there are tunnels and stuff you can maneuver. It shows you there's a way off the island. So it does it's a lot of storytelling building. And there's kind of that interesting hint where later on, when it's found out the front man's like, I don't care what you do, just never show your face. And so it's kind of like, oh, maybe again, this is like the lighter in the game. They actually know all this can happen. And like even the guards are kind of playing a game where they're trying to manipulate the system for money. And so that's on that interesting level of even in this, there's still this group trying to survive, trying to get extra money, trying to cheat, play the game of life. And so that's kind of interesting, but
yeah.
And because that's the thing, like he says also, like, don't I don't care if you're selling organs or profiting off this, but it's more like it's like don't disadvantage the players, isn't it? Or like don't
it's like
don't give someone an unfair advantage.
Advantage. This is a fair game for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, so because he
It's weird that occurs in the same episode as the nighttime riot, where like sure it's a fair game, but I feel like that really is advantageous to certain players. Like it's advantageous to the people who stole the extra food. It's advantageous to the people who are like willing to kill in the outside world as well. Like it's not. Is it really fair? I don't know.
I had the same thought. I was like, it is weird how on one hand they're like it's all about fair. I'm like, it's clearly not. Like someone
They're
gets away
so
with murder.
strict on rules, but
yeah,
then
and then
like
one dude breaks the rules. Like, we hid the rules. It's like that's not fair.
Yeah.
It's like that doesn't make. Yeah. And I guess that's the point they're going for, right? That like the system is, like the system is fair, but it's really not fair, and that's kind of the whole confrontation in the end, where the old man's like, "Here's how it all makes sense," and Gi-hun's like, "No, because you're evil." And I don't know.
Just like that.
I don't remember what they talk about in the end.
Did you like the Tug of War game?
I did. Like, I think it's a really easy way to like give an underdog story, to give like a brain over brawn story. Like, it's a good device for that. Say what you will about the ending of it, but it was a pretty brutal game too. Like watching these people hanging by the chain and then falling to their deaths is just like, brutal.
Yeah, but I like Sang-woo being like, let go for a second, and then they all trip up and then start pulling again, and Il-Num's like whole technique of one person on each side and this and that. I loved that whole sort of breaking it down to
strategy.
Mathematics almost.
No, I agree. I kind of want to play Tug of War now, but
All right. Episode 5, Ji-hoon's team wins their tug of war match with player 1 strategy and Sang-woo's quick thinking. Anticipating another riot, they build up a barricade and spend the night taking turns on guard, but Deoksu's team does not attack. Ji-hoon reminisces on a similar situation from 10 years ago when he and many other workers from an automobile factory protested a mass layoff, which caused the failed trajectory of Ji-hoon's life. Junho witnesses the organ harvest racket as the staff member whose identity he stole took part in it. Except Junho, everyone involved in the racket is eventually killed, including player 111. The frontman begins a facility-wide manhunt for Junho, who breaks into the frontman's office. Junho learns that the game has been running for over 30 years and that his elder brother Hang-woo was the winner in 2015.
I didn't pick up on that detail. Okay.
Yeah, he goes through the records and finds his brother's name.
I remember the records. I don't remember ever seeing that. I must have looked away.
I mean, it's been a month since we watched it, so
and it was all in Korean, so maybe you can be forgiven.
Oh no, Conan's a pure-hearted person. He watched it in the English dub.
Yeah, of course. I'm not going to read subtitles. Is this the episode with the strobe light massacre?
No, so that was the previous episode.
That was the last episode.
Because I forgot to mention that part's great. That whole massacre scene is really good.
You're right. It's very tense, and the whole that episode I really didn't know I didn't feel like I knew what was going to happen. Like I wasn't sure. I knew someone was going to die, but I didn't know who. But we don't really lose any of the main characters.
I know. It's like they do that. It feels
dangerous though. It does, yeah.
And just the way it's shot through the lights, where there's this, that you see a burst and you see someone getting stabbed, and just everyone sort of giving into the savagery in the darkness is really kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Reminds me of a certain train cart in Snowpiercer.
Tell you, man, you got an aesthetic. They like it.
Yeah.
I didn't care too much for his flashback. I thought that was really weird and really out of place for the show.
Yeah.
It was like he's having like a Vietnam. It's like he's in the woods and he's like remembering Vietnam, but it's just like this. It's this protest. I didn't know.
It was a bit strange. I honestly didn't really even remember it, to be honest.
I don't remember it, but it's backstory to show he's not a complete bad guy. But yeah. I do like they build the barricades and they're ready for riot number 2, and like Ji-hoon saying that thing to Deoksun about, do you trust your friends? Like convinces him not to do it because he's like, oh no, one of these guys could take me out. No, we're not doing it tonight. No,
I actually think that happens later, doesn't it? I think he convinces him later on not to attack.
Oh really?
I think so. When there's less numbers. Maybe I'm wrong. But it is good. Like it is.
Yeah.
It again points out like Ji-hoon's like street smarts, his skills that he does have. I think the most interesting in this episode was seeing Jun-ho like scurrying around the facility, kind of Die Hard style, and getting in and out of these vents, and being hunted down and getting into the front man's office. Like that was the most interesting
going
part
down
of
that
episode.
ladder down to below where he takes out the other guard and finds his way into the front man's office and hides in there for quite a while. But yeah, it's fascinating. I really liked Jun-ho. Like I really did like his whole arc and everything in this.
I'm curious what you think of his ending, but we'll get to that in
let's talk about
that.
I do want to talk about
that. Into that.
Yeah. Should we move on? The players see the bodies of player 111 and his co-conspirators strung up for cheating and are assured that the games are designed to give every player a fair chance without discrimination. For the fourth game, players are told to pair up, but discover that instead of working as a team, they will be playing against their partner in a marble game of their choice. Whoever gets all the partner's marbles within 30 minutes will win and survive. Se-byuk and player 240 named Ji-jeong share their life stories. Ji-young sees Se-byuk has more to live for and sacrifices herself. Sang-woo tricks Ali into giving up his marbles and wins, which results in Ali's death. Deok-soo wins against his partner and henchman, Jae-hyung. Ji-hoon exploits Player 1's dementia to defeat him, only to discover that Player 1 had been aware of the deception the entire time. Player 1, who remembers his name to be Oh Il-nam, allows Ji-hoon to win anyway, and he is his Gigambu, trusted friend. Ji-hoon, Sang-woo, and Se-byuk are traumatized by the deaths of their friends. Man, this episode, best episode of the season.
Easy.
Yeah.
This is the best game. I think, even if it's not the most memorable in terms of mechanics, it's the best in terms of what happens. I think
it's not even a game though, right?
That's right. It's not.
Which is kind of cool. Yeah,
it's like them, talking and everything like this. It's just conversations and.
I love it that you see some people, they're like throwing them at each other. Obviously, the gangster makes that game where he's like, first they do one, then they change it.
Yeah, they change over.
Other people,
and a lot of them,
he's such an ass.
Yeah, and so I want to start with that. The fact that he survives by the stupidest circumstance really frustrated me. Like, he cheats the game and he manages to get on, and he's gonna lose, and then it's because the other guy just happens to knock his marble in that he wins. I'm like. That's like reverse plot armor, right? It's plot armor to keep a villain alive, and that really frustrated me. He should have died there. It would have been I think I would have much preferred his death there as like this unceremonious. He's betrayed by his friend.
Unpredictable, like this random guy, random henchman beats the main henchman, like because he's.
And then it shows that Gi-han was right, like that his friend does betray him, and so his power that he thinks he has, like the way that he's been winning these games, is undone. I think that would have added so much more, but.
Yeah, maybe you're right. But then you wouldn't get the showdown between him and I don't know what her name is, but the annoying woman.
Old lady. We call her old lady.
Old lady. Like it was interesting that she didn't get a partner, and she was very upset about that. Obviously, for obvious reasons. Like I think everybody thought she was going to die, and then she's alive at the end.
She just avoids the game.
She avoids the whole
Brilliant.
game. I had kind of a feeling that might happen. Like it's not very fair to kick her out, although maybe it is fair that because she couldn't find a partner, she would die. But
no, I was like, so when they get back, she's just going to be chilling there. And I was like, of course, they'll be like, oh, it's not fair. They took pity on her. But this episode was brutal, man. Yeah. Sang-woo, what a dog, man.
Yeah, him tricking Ali is the biggest dog move of the whole thing, I think.
Oh. So here's why I should have watched it sooner. That got spoiled for me very early.
No, I did it.
Renaud.
Like D-bags and just making memes that clearly spoil stuff. Like there were so many. It was just like Ali's missing his marbles. I'm like, this guy dies. Okay, and then as soon as you start to realize, so that really frustrated me. But it's still a super powerful moment, right? Like just watching it all unfold, and you're like, Ali, buddy, stop.
Dude, I could tear up. Yeah. Like. Him calling out to him, and like when he realizes, and he's like yelling out to him. And I sent a YouTube video earlier that was like stuff that's like missed in translations and everything like that, like in the sub version that didn't fully get translated correctly. Like he calls out to Sang-woo, like his name and everything, but then he says another name that they don't address in the subtitles. Like he yells out something else,
Yeah,
but
it's like
basically what
Hyam or
that
something.
means is like sort of like brother or like a superior person, like someone you respect, and he calls that out, and that's when Sungwoo stops before walking out of the room. When he calls out for
Yeah.
like his brother, basically, he's like, "You're my friend. Like, where are
Mm.
you?" And he stops, hesitates, and walks out, and just, oh man,
Yeah,
poor Lee.
definitely.
And the whole moment where he's pulling the fast one on him, like as the audience, it's really obvious. Like he's tricking him here, but Ali's like too naive to see it, and you just feel for him, man. He was
Yep.
he is really like I don't know, is the moral center the right word? Like he's one of the nicest characters in the whole game, one of the most morally good people in the whole game.
Yeah.
And to be just
Like,
eliminated like this is just rough.
because he's like the traditional hero, right? Yeah, he's completely good. His motivation is all selfless.
Yep.
He's who
Yep.
should win this and come out and be like, I can have a good life now. And yeah, because of that, he's just too naive. Like he thinks that there is a goodness can survive by being good, and it's just like, it's like watching a train just crash.
It's literally, he's like, he should be the protagonist.
Yeah.
He's like caring for his family. He's trying to do the right thing. His boss is ripping him off. He does this thing that leads to this unfortunate circumstance. Goes there, risks his life to catch Ji-hoon, saves him in the game. Like, just wants to make friends and help other people out, and just gets screwed over and shot by
Yeah.
his friend that he like trusted and literally gave all these marbles to. Like, oh man.
And it's totally deserved because it's like that's the point, right? Like being good and just hoping that things play out by following the rules. That's not going to work. You
Yeah.
actually have to you have to break the system to sort of win. So his
Yeah.
death's super necessary, but it's they earn it. It does hurt. It really hurts.
Yeah.
What was your opinion of we'll go into Nam first. Like, did you think he had dementia as he was doing it, or were you like, is he playing him, or is he like
It's
actually having a dementia episode? Or
I went back and forth on it, and that's what they
yeah,
wanted to do. I think like it really it's really hard to pick. Like, is he playing him? Is he not? And then really
especially when he's
feeling
like, I have one marble left. Oh, whoops.
yeah,
Like then you're like, oh, he's playing.
Yeah.
He's like this bastard.
And just
But yeah,
seeing Ji-hoon like take advantage of him, but clearly feel really bad about it.
yeah.
Like just again, like our main character not being the best person.
But you'd totally
like,
do the same in
Yeah,
that
that's
sport,
right.
wouldn't
Being
you?
relatable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
You're
he's
like,
trying so
dude,
hard to.
You're 90. You have nothing to live for.
He's got a
You
brain
gotta win
tumor.
this
Like,
game. You got a tumor. Oh,
but
yeah.
as well as that, like he tries so hard to be like, dude, we got to play this game. Come on, just stop.
He's
We got
just
to get
followed
some.
him around the whole map. Like, come on, seriously, there's 3 minutes left.
So at the end of it, I'm like, yeah, just beat him up and take the marbles, man.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
you've tried.
Yeah.
But his story is really sad, where he's going through his past, right? And it's this it is this like real He's reflecting on his life, and I felt more for him than I did for Ali, partially because I knew what was coming. But him, is like looking for his house, and it's like he's a kid again, and he's got all this wonder, and it's like, I don't know, there's this real sense of everything's stripped away, and he's just a happy child again, and this is what has to die in this game. This is what the real world kills to survive and to make money. And it's just really harrowing just watching him like reliving that and knowing that he's gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like that moment where like, they pair up and it's like, oh, marbles, and like Ilnam's like, oh, I used to play this when I was a kid. I was great. And it's like you'll be playing against each other. And like Jihan has that moment like, oh
Yeah.
shit. Like also like obviously this is like the big episode of like partnerships and like emotional stuff, like with Ji Young and
Saebyuk.
Saebyuk.
Yeah. Like this is her episode where she really shines, I think.
Yeah.
And it's like an interesting arc. Like she doesn't want it just given to her. She wants to earn it, but
No,
it's given
great
to her
acting.
anyway.
Like
Yeah.
it's really powerful, and yeah.
She's the other character, I guess, with the story. Like, even though she's a pickpocket and obviously has been involved with the gang member, like she's the other character that seems to have a really good intentions. And I think even though we're not from Korea, we can identify that like having your parents stuck in North Korea would be pretty rough. Like that's a pretty pretty good reason to want to go there and win some money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
100%. It's funny reading about how the actress who played the friend, like the one who dies,
Yeah.
her,
Judy Hill.
her Instagram following like went from a few hundred to like hundreds of thousands after this. Like
Oh, really?
it elevated her to like this sort of influencer stardom level, which is it speaks to like the influence of this show that everyone's watching it. Everyone's like, who is this girl? We need to follow her, and good for her.
I
Hope she has a good career out of it.
I heard also like another funny story on a YouTube video earlier. Juk Soo, like the gangster guy, he said that like he got heaps of followers on Instagram and heaps of DMs of women asking him to meet him in the bathroom stalls. So it's like, so that's great. That is pretty funny.
Sometimes villains get like
Yeah.
death threats from people and stuff though. Like that would, maybe that's what Sang
Yep.
Woo was getting.
Yeah, Sang Woo got death threats for Ali.
That's why he hasn't talked about it. He's
By
scared.
us three, we all DM Sang Woo.
All right, is there
It's
anything?
just funny. Can I just nerd out about the writing structure real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
You guys cool with that? And it's a bit of the history. So it's sort of common knowledge now, but the guy who created this, like created the show, wrote all the episodes, and I think directed all of it as well. His name is crap, I can't find it. Hwang Dong-hyuk.
Yeah.
So it took him like 10 years. Like this show was written over like a long period of time, but he had it written for like 10 plus years. He was shopping it around. It was originally a movie. At one point, he had to sell his laptop because he couldn't pay rent because he was trying to like shop this stuff around. He's had a bit of a career before, but this was like a big passion project of his. And so, yeah, it wasn't really meant to be a movie. That's how he envisioned it, and that he's expanded it. And it's just really funny because this, like in all sort of writing arcs, there's a midpoint, which is where all the stakes are like either things get reversed or like stakes get doubled down, and you sort of realize something big happens. It's a revelation of, oh, okay, this is serious now. And it's just really fun looking at this. It's like the middle episode of the season, and his friend doubles down. He finally decides to kill Ali. Like you see the girl get sort of her facade breaks down finally, and you see Gi-hoon have to like actually try to kill another person to survive rather than just working together with everybody. He realizes he can't do that.
The old person he's been looking out for the whole season too. Like,
Yeah. And the whole show, he's never been like, let's do anything bad. He's like, no, we can just survive this if we all work together and are friends. And he finally sort of makes that choice. So it's just I just really enjoyed that. I was like, I can see that thing there. That's the midpoint here. And he's worked it really well. And it works so well as a TV show. Like, I didn't realize it worked that well, but this episode being the best in the season speaks to that point.
Yep. Yeah, no.
That's my spiel.
Just quickly touching like on the director, I did see a thing that like he said like, oh, Netflix didn't pay me extra for how well the show's done. He's like, I got paid the original settled amount that like I sold the show for. He's like, and that's it. He's like, I'm not super rich. He's like, I have enough to put dinner on the plate, like food on the plate and everything like that. But yeah, and I'm sure like marketing and everything like that and future seasons and whatever, he's gonna do well.
He definitely should get some opportunities out this at the very least.
Yeah, but like this show's done so good for Netflix that man, you'd think he'd get something.
But it's like Netflix's success isn't a money thing. Netflix success is just viewership, right?
Yeah.
So
that translates to money.
Yeah.
But
more people subscribing.
There's no box office to go by, right? I know what you're saying.
No, and so I don't think it's nearly as direct as like I just don't think it's as simple as like Netflix made billions of dollars. I don't think they did. They can make like billions worth of stuff, but I don't think it's actually they make that much money from it. It's more of just they had everyone watching it, so they get more people keeping their
subscription,
their thing, and watching their products.
Yeah,
I guess.
It's just worth noting. It's not like Game of Thrones actually makes shit tons of money. It's like it doesn't make a huge amount more. It's just more of a. But you're right. He should, if he gets like opportunities and jobs from this, which I think he will. He won't be
100%.
He won't be sore for work.
Yeah.
Keen to see what he does next.
All
right, episode 7. The players return to find Minyao, who did not have a partner for the marbles game, still alive. Foreign VIPs who had been wagering on the games remotely arrived to watch and wager on the next rounds live. Junho, posing as one of the masked servants, is sexually propositioned by one of them. In a private room, he attacks the VIP, records his confession, and escapes the island. Meanwhile, the 5th game has players crossing a 2-panel wide bridge, where the panels are each made of tempered glass or regular glass, the latter of which cannot support their weight. The Players at the front of the line fall to their death as they progressively test the panels. Deoksu refuses to move despite the clock ticking, daring others to pass
What
him.
a douche.
Yeah. Min Yao grabs him and, as revenge for betraying her, pulls him down with her to their deaths. Player 17, a seasoned glass worker, is able to determine which panels are safe until the front man turns off the lights, removing his advantage. With the time running out, Sangwoo pushes Player 17 to his death, revealing the last trick panel. Only Ji-hoon, Sangwoo, and Sebyuk complete the game at its conclusion. Explosions shatter the remaining panels and injure the 3 players.
This is where the show falls
shit.
apart.
This episode has some problems and introduces some problems for sure. The episode is called
like-
VIPs.
And that's what the problem is.
It's a big problem.
Uh,
Obviously, the acting is the worst in the series. I think everybody can agree with that.
it's the worst in anything.
Yeah.
It's worse than every bad film.
It's amongst the worst acting I've ever seen in my life. Like, it's so bad
It
that
is
I got
bad.
angry watching it. I was like,
Me
why
too.
are they still here? Stop talking, please. Like, I got so frustrated watching it.
I was like, did I accidentally
Yeah.
turn on the terrible English dub at some point or something?
Yep.
Like, what have I done here? It's such a drop in quality from what has otherwise is phenomenal acting, and you can even see it through these characters like that aren't speaking English. You can still see the quality, and
Yeah.
just atrocious.
But
It's
it's not just even like the acting is so bad, but the dialogue for them is so bad as
Yeah.
well.
yeah.
Like, it's just like the most like typical cliche, like 69, that's a great number.
that
It's like,
joke. It gets
Oh.
played twice. It gets played twice.
I
It's
know.
like-
Yeah.
oh, it's so bad, man. And just like the way they're just yelling at each other, like 'cause they're like 20 meters apart. And it's just like, oh, it's so bad. It's
The thing-
angered me. It's easily the worst part of this show.
And things like the guy, just the guy's like, "Can I take this one?" And he's like, and they all say a different way of saying goodbye. They're like, "So long, no problem, have fun." It's like
Yeah.
it's like you've gone through and you're like, okay, they can't all say goodbye because that's not smart. So they all say a different goodbye. It's like a 5-year-old wrote this.
Well, it's like, I don't
It
speak
boggles my
English. I
mind.
need to find synonyms for goodbye. Let's put them
Yep.
into
Yep.
synonyms.com. I don't know. Is
did
it
you
bad
guys
on
see-
purpose? Do you think it's bad on purpose?
You
Like,
guys
I
think
feel like
that's a genuine
I feel
question?
like there is an
Surely
element
not.
of it there, but it's not. Just because you're doing something bad on purpose doesn't make it not bad.
Exactly. It still brings down the quality of these episodes because they focus on them so much. Like,
Yeah.
obviously it's almost taking the piss out of Americans and like these greedy billionaires and all this stuff, but it's done so poorly. It's not this like comment on them. It's literally just like, oh, this is bad. Like, this is acted bad.
Mm.
It's like you're right. They clearly like we need a big bad. We need like a foreign villain who's kind of unknown, but we know is evil, and everyone knows America's evil. So we'll just get like 6 Americans who just talk in Americanness.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's ironically kind of like this weird racist thing almost, where like you get the 50, 100 years ago in movies, like you get things where you get the evil foreigner comes in and it's like they're the mysterious person who causes all the problems. And now in the same way, you've got like the evil white people who are actually running this death game in Korea. It's kind of like, and I don't think it's like some racist, ignorant choice, but it really parallels that of like, they aren't characters, they're complete caricatures.
Yeah.
And they're meant to just be overly evil, but they're so poorly done. It boggles my mind.
You know what would have been better? They got like some, like, honestly bona fide great A-list actors to play like these characters. Like, have like a Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Ben
I don't
Affleck
think
playing
this
these
show has
people.
the sway though to do that.
Oh
I
no,
think-
that's what
So-
they should have done.
I think what they could
So
have
can we?
what they
yeah.
could have done is hired like he's a Jeff Bezos lookalike. Now he never takes his mask off, but
Musk.
they know they want you to think it's Jeff Bezos. They know you want to think it's Musk. They know they want you to think it's
Yeah.
all these actual billionaires. I think that
One of
might have
them-
been the fun way to do it.
One of them, like the audience, is like, I swear that one's an android, and it's like, no, I'm Zuckerberg. But
Or he comes in. He's like, I created a very famous website called Face Mash. It's like, oh, cool. Did you? I assume you guys saw.
Facepunks.
I see you guys saw like the ING thing they did where they talked about how like why the VIPs were so bad.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
So there's, I think it was IGN rather.
IGN.
Sorry, ING's a bank. But anyway, banks
Yeah.
get into journalism too. Okay, they sort of proposed. I don't know if it's confirmed, but they proposed the theory that starters the show was on a really low budget, so they couldn't actually hire proper like big name actors. Secondly, there's not that many native English speaking actors in Korea, so the ones they've got aren't like overly successful because they wouldn't really be working there because they all go to America and whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
And thirdly, like you said, Griner, they're right. I don't think the creator is a native English speaker, or I don't even know if he speaks English full stop. And so I think that you've got Korean writers who write this dialogue, run it through a converter, like a translator, which often is just Google Translate. Like that happens a fair bit.
Yep.
So you get this weird, stilted, badly translated dialogue that, if you're all a bunch of Koreans, like speakers of Korean, you won't know that's bad.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
And so this show originally probably would have just was intended for just Koreans to watch, right? It was never intended to be a global hit.
No.
So the IGN thing, that's an interview with, I believe, one of the actors of like one of the VIPs, and he's saying why it comes across bad, and he like obviously he's not calling himself a bad actor, but he says like
Exactly.
that guy is me. But like he said like it is made for Korean audiences, and the way English actors like perform in Korean television, he's like it's very overacted and like like being loud and like just saying these things like this because we're Americans and ha ha ha, like it's
Yeah.
I have to imagine in our media that like the foreign speaking characters are probably speaking over the top and like in a way that doesn't feel natural to someone who's the natural speaker of that language.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And I do think, like, to that point, I wrote a bit of a spiel about this, like, just the way Korean like cinema and television works. Like, it's a heightened melodrama. So, like K-dramas are like hugely successful now, and they're like TV soaps, right? Like, they're the sort of genre that our version, like Western versions of those, are derided as like poorly written and silly and serialized. But there's a real sort of, I think they're just better in Korea, but there's also an appeal to Western audiences. But Korean cinema and like Japanese cinema as well, Turkish cinema, a lot of these ones are founded in melodrama. And so that's why you see every time a character gets angry, they're like screaming. They don't just get frustrated. You see them scream. Like Gihan screams a lot in this show when he gets tense and when he gets frustrated. Like it is intentionally over the top and not in a bad way, but it's just how like that cinematic language works. And I think for us to see like white Americans in that medium feels really weird. It would be like if you watch an opera and you're like, why is everyone singing in this? It's like, well, they sing in operas, right? But then if you saw a random like someone speaking normally there, that would feel out of place. But it may. So yeah, I think for Korean audiences, it wouldn't have been much of an issue at all. It's just really weird for us to see it.
Yeah, that's all right. Like I don't think it doesn't work. Like they're obviously not. I don't know. I think it works in a way. Obviously, it's bad.
It detracted from me entirely.
Did it? I don't know. It was like I don't know. Obviously, they're supposed to be bad, in my opinion.
I was like genuinely annoyed that they were in it so much, and I was like, they're going to be here for the rest of the show because they're going to watch it to the final of the game, and I was like, God damn it! Like, why? What did you? So you just didn't like the actual game itself?
I was going to say, let's talk about the game, the glass game, the glass panels game.
What the hell kind of fairness is it where it's like pick left or right, you die one of those choices? Like, think of all the other games, you can win them all. Red light, green light's very easy to win. Honeycombs is very easy to win. Marbles, you need skill. Am I missing a fourth game?
Tug of War.
Tug of War. Tug of War, you obviously need to use strength, but it's teamwork, and you can win that game with intelligence, as we see. This game is just dumb luck.
It is.
But that's fair. 50-50. It's like flipping a coin. That's fair.
But they also have to pick their number at the start without knowing what it is.
Yeah.
The players who go first have absolutely no chance to win that game. There's just no way. That's like saying, can you flip a coin and get heads 18 times? It's statistically impossible.
Well, then you shouldn't have picked number one. And how funny that Jihoon was almost number one, and that guy's like, I've never been number one in my life. Like, it's my time to take this.
That's a really good moment of like, you see another character make peace, And it's like, oh
Yeah.
man, it snatches it
But
from you.
this random character you've never seen before. But like it was so funny because like when he was giving up the number 1 shirt, I was like, "No, you idiot! You're gonna regret this." And the second the game's revealed, I'm like, "Whoo! He's actually got the luckiest
He's
number
lucky.
now." And
My
got
God,
the other guy.
I mean, probably should have
And
been
the
kind of
other,
telling the rest of his team was right at the end as well.
yeah, yeah, true. But yeah, it's a brutal game though, and it was tense like watching it because it was just like, oh god, like what's gonna happen. I love the guy, the mathematics guy that's like, okay, doing the maths, and he's like, the odds are this, and he gets like 4 or 5 panels down, like he jumps and like gets them all right, and then finally falls. And
Just out.
the guy who like forgets what happened right in front of him, he's like, did he go right or left or?
I had that same thought. I was like, oh, how would you remember though if they get them right the whole time? Like that'd be
Yeah,
so stressful.
yeah, exactly. But like that's the thing. I was watching a video earlier that was calling out stuff in this, and I was just like, yeah, like they told them to take their shoes off, but they like don't. You could throw your shoes,
Yeah.
like to see like which one's the right. And there's questions with this guy who's like the glass maker or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
think he would have been able to tell, but it's sort of it's telling of like Sungwoo that he just pushes him to his death. He's like, we'll find out. Just pushes him right at the end too.
Yeah.
But
it's pretty good.
Sorry.
I was gonna say it's a decent reveal for the other characters. How low he's prepared to go, I suppose.
like they're seeing what he did to Ali, but now right in front of them.
Yeah. I know. I thought it was frustrating that they turned the lights off as well. They're like, let's make this fair. I'm like,
Yeah.
because like I said, they've shown this that like the strong characters win in the knife fight. The evil people like thrive in this. And the one time there's an advantage for an innocent glass maker, they're like, no, you can't have that.
Take it away.
Yeah.
We touched on it earlier. The bullshit with the shrapnel.
Yes. So at the end of the game,
This, yeah,
the bridge blows
this
up.
episode really sucks.
I do.
Like-
Yeah, I feel like it does start to go downhill from here, and the shrapnel just feels like a very convenient way to injure characters. Yeah, to injure
Well, it's
characters.
like- it literally is the reason why she dies.
Yes.
Yeah. Like
she was gonna die anyway. There's obviously that gut punch right at the end, but it's like she wasn't gonna live. And it's because of just this dumb explosion.
That they've destroyed it all, like, and just like, I don't know. Like they legitimately, these VIPs, these great actors here are watching this like happen, and they did this thing that could have literally killed all three. Like all three of them could have been mortally injured, and they're like, well, the game's over. No final round. Whoops. Because we got a bit overzealous, exploding all the glass. And they kill off this character who's like one of the main 3 characters. And as soon as she's in the bathroom, like pulling that shrapnel out, you're like, oh, she's done for.
The end of her, yeah.
I think it could have made things a bit more tense and a bit more what's going to happen in like the final episode if all 3 of them were healthy, but yeah.
And there you go.
I was going to say, once we see the final challenge, though, how does that challenge work with 3 people?
Yeah. And it's worth noting, like in K-dramas, like a huge trope is the main character and a childhood friend, and there ends up being a rivalry, whether it's like through a love story or whatever. So again, I didn't know this, but it's like if you watch it knowing with that in mind, so Korean audiences probably saw it coming. Like it's going to come down to these 2. She's always going to be done for. But it's a shame because I feel like she is the one who probably should win out of all of them, right? She has the best cause. She's shown that she's a survivor.
Like a non-selfish cause, almost.
Yeah, so like Ali should have won, but he's also too good, so sucks to be him.
Yeah,
she's not too good, but she's like Gi-han, but I don't know. I don't know if she's better, but like
isn't more likely to win all this than go gamble it all away instead
she
of
didn't
giving
get into the
anything to
situation.
Yeah.
She decided to gamble it away. She's in this situation to help her family.
Yeah, and so I think it probably would have been a better ending to have her, but I don't know. Maybe people would have felt ripped off if Gi-han died. I don't know.
I can't.
But
yeah.
Would you guys have felt ripped off if Gi-han dies here?
No, yes, I would. I would feel less ripped off if it came down to her and him in the final.
Yeah, but here's the thing. As far as I'm concerned, I don't know. It's a bit shittier for Sungwoo to kill her without her being mortally wounded already. It would have more impact him killing her, if he was able to do it in that night when it's just the three of them.
Mm.
But then it really that cements him as just evil, just to kill one of the other competitors before the final game, and it feels much cheaper in a weird way. But
Yeah.
So I don't
they
know.
do. Yeah. Also, on that bridge, they spend so long showing the slow-mo explosion. It's like I feel like it's a 5-minute scene of just showing like the camera's slowly drawing back, and it's like glass is blowing up, glass is blowing up. I was like, yeah, cool, okay.
This is
Any second
their
now.
big budget scene.
And
They
then,
can only do it once.
I guess I don't need 5 minutes of that though.
Man, the only thing that would have made it better is like while it was exploding, you could just hear, "Man, that's awesome! Blow them up!"
VIP voiceover.
Yep, bloody hell.
All right.
Anyway.
Episode 8, as finalists Ji-hoon and Sang-woo and Sae-byuk are given a change of formal clothes, Sae-byuk hides a severe stab wound she received from the glass bridge explosion. After eating dinner, each player is left with a steak knife. Ji-hoon suggests that Sae-byuk and they should ally against Sang-woo, realizing he will go to any length to win. Sae-byuk instead begs Ji-hoon to promise that whoever wins the game will look after the other's loved ones. Ji-hoon goes to kill Sang-woo when he falls asleep, but Sae-byuk stops him, telling him he is not a murderer. Sae-byuk's injury worsens, prompting Ji-hoon to call for help. When Ji-hoon is away, Sang-woo kills Sae-byuk, and the staff arrive only to collect her corpse. Furious and heartbroken, Ji-hoon tries to attack Sang-woo but is prevented by the staff. Meanwhile, Junho makes it to another island but is quickly tracked down by the frontman and the staff. To Junho's shock, the frontman reveals himself to be his brother, Inho, who tries to recruit him. When he refuses, Inho shoots Junho in the shoulder, causing him to fall back over a cliff edge into the sea.
To disappear.
To
surely die.
Let's talk about the cop story.
Sure.
Yeah.
What the hell is the point of it at the end of this?
To set up for a sequel where he's not dead.
You reckon
he's
that's
not
it?
dead.
Yeah. There's no way he's dead.
To be shot in the shoulder, to fall off a cliff into water. No way he's dead. He's come back.
Okay, so you reckon it's just purely sequel setup?
Yes.
Yeah.
I hate this story, the way they end it. Like I said at the beginning, there's a really bad loose end problem, and that ending where
it is a loose
you work through the thing, and it builds up, and it's like, here's the reveal. Oh, he's dead. Okay, and even if he's not dead, it's like, oh, well, now we have another 2 episodes where there's nothing to do with that. There's no conclusion.
Yeah.
No, it's terrible. I really hated the way it ended. Because I found Junho up to this point to be a really interesting character, and the reveal that frontman is his brother has virtually zero impact to me. Like, it's just not.
You knew it was coming.
It was pretty telegraphed. Like, you knew it was coming. But B, like, it just didn't. I don't know. It just, who cares? What difference? What difference does it make that his brother is the frontman?
That's the thing. The brother doesn't do anything different. He doesn't change.
No.
They never get shut down. It's really kind of just it's a rug pull, and it bothered me to no end.
And I feel like the frontman, I don't know, shot him in a way that wouldn't kill him. I don't know. It's obviously he falls off a massive cliff. Like, he could have been impaled on a rock below, but you'd think they'd show it. You'd think they'd show him dead if he died. They're not. I mean, there's only a few characters they don't really show them dying. And spoiler alert, they come back.
Yeah.
So.
I hate those setups for sequels.
I mean, it's a rule of TV that if you don't see someone die, they're coming back.
That's true. 100%. Yeah, they can come back at any time,
unless you're a Baratheon in Game of Thrones.
He's coming.
One day,
Stannis is coming back. I hope.
There's that really great scene when Gi-hoon's like banging on the door trying to get them to come and help her. And then finally it stops and they open up. It's like, oh, wow, it's going to happen. And then obviously the reveal.
They've got a casket like thing, like the gift box. It's,
Yeah, and it's like, it's really, again, there's so many flourishes in this that even though I hate I don't like the ending of the show at all, there's so many great filmic flourishes like that are really solid, like just really good storytelling, really well made. And even though you sort of know it's coming, it's just still really powerful because it gives you that moment of hope. It's like, oh, crap.
Yeah, and
just she's dead.
Sang-woo standing over her with the knife as well.
Yeah,
like that's why she finally bit the dust.
Exactly, it's not natural. It was him.
Fake and sleep. I'm sure he fake fell asleep. Like, there's no way.
There's no way.
100%.
There's no way.
He was waiting for Ji-hoon to come over to him, and he was going to kill him.
Do the old sneaky shank.
Yeah, playing possum. But yeah, and then
I wanted to see a katana battle where their two steak knives are like pressed against each other.
Sparks flying.
They're just like, you killed my friends.
Man, she barely touched that steak.
No, waste.
I felt really sorry for her in that moment. It's like there's just no way she survives this. She's done for. She can't even enjoy a succulent meal.
It's like, you need that blood. You need that iron. Get it in here.
Transfuse
You're
it.
bleeding out.
Really, the death of two good characters in this episode. Like,
yeah.
And one I think was done well. Like, her death was done really well. But Junho's, I mean, maybe he's not dead, but he might as well be for the rest of the show, right? It's
yeah,
which is very unsatisfying.
Yeah.
All right, in the final Eponymous, I don't know what that word is. In the final Squid Game, Ji-hoon defeats Sangwoo after a brutal fight. Eponymous in the final eponymous
episode.
Squid Game.
It's a D, Griner.
It's not. It's definitely not a D. In the final game, the Squid Game, Ji-hoon defeats Sangwoo after a brutal fight, but refuses to kill him. He begs Sangwoo to stop the game using the third clause. Sangwoo instead stabs himself in the neck and asks Ji-hoon to take care of his mother before dying. Ji-hoon is returned to Seoul with a bank card to access the prize money, but discovers his own mother has died. A year later, Ji-hoon remains traumatized and has not touched his prize money. He receives an invitation card from his Giganbu and finds Ilnam on his deathbed. Ilnam reveals he created the game to entertain bored, ultra-rich people like himself. He chose games he played as a child and participated in Ji-hoon's group out of nostalgia. As they talk, Ilnam wagers that Ji-hoon on whether an unconscious man lying on the street corner will be helped before midnight. The man is saved and Ilnam dies shortly after. Ji-hoon retrieves Saebyok's brother and has him looked after by Sangwoo's mother, also giving them a share of the prize money. As Ji-hoon travels to the airport to reconnect with his daughter in Los Angeles, he sees the same game recruiter playing Dajaki and another desperate player, but manages only to get that player's invitation card. He calls the card's number before boarding his plane, demanding to know who is running the games. He is curtly ordered to get on the plane, but he ends the call and returns to the airport terminal.
Dun-dun-dun.
Two things. Number one, this has to do with the last episode. I'm sorry I forgot to say it, so I'm just going to quickly get it in now. I was really annoyed that he didn't promise Sunbyok about her brother. Like, she kept being like, just promise me you'll look after my brother. And he's like, no, I won't. And then she dies. So he never promises. And I was just like, oh, God damn it. Just promise her, God damn it. Anyway.
That's lying.
How does that synopsis not include he also dyes his hair red?
Yeah, that's the same thing.
The only important detail.
The major thing that I remember the final episode for. Oh.
So he chooses to dye his hair like bright red with this Karen haircut.
Karen red, they call it. It's a choice.
Why?
Yep.
Does anyone have any good? I mean, there's theories out there that like it's his red anger and that it's the most unexpected thing he could do. But
the creator said in some interview, he's like, I just want to show him doing something completely like out of character and like just random to be like
unexpected.
Yeah, just something completely out of whack. And it is. I had no idea anyone would dye their hair like that.
Yeah.
But
when it shows those different haircuts and hairstyles on the wall, I was like, oh, is he going to do this cool, like, bleach platinum blonde style or just have this cool cut and turn this cool character? I was not expecting that bright red out of all of them. So it was very unexpected.
Yeah.
Okay. The actual Squid Game itself. Obviously, it's literally just a fight to the death. It's not so much the actual Squid Game rules. It's just a punch up in the rain. But
it's got the great sand in the eyes. Love it.
Pockets.
Now I'm going to throw some dirt in your eye.
Exactly. He saw Spider-Man.
Tobey Maguire comes out. You've got the VIPs again watching, making fun comments. But it's. I totally had this moment like when he wouldn't kill him. I was like, man, is Sungwoo going to kill him? I was like, is this a mountain viper situation. I was like, please, not another one of these. Like, and when he says, he says, oh, Ji-hun, like, I'm sorry, and grabs the knife, I totally thought he was going to like shank him with it, but then he stabs himself, and I was like, oh, thank God. But yeah, it's frustrating ending because like I'm just like, just go be a good dad. But obviously we need the second season. It can't just be like, I'm a good dad now. Like, look at me looking after my kid. It's got to have that. I do like him seeing the guy in the subway again, and the guy giving him like a little nod, like I'm just doing this again for another season, like playing this game again that I'm really good at and slapping people.
I want that job, hey.
Oh, it'd be great,
Like,
man. It'd be
slapping
great.
dudes all day.
Yeah. But yeah, it's yeah. We'll get into it.
The
I
Squid Game sucks. Like, I don't know. Is there something
It's the
lost?
worst game.
Do you guys think there's something culturally lost that we're not getting, or is it just a bad game?
Well, for starters, it doesn't look like a squid. It looks like a house. So there's got to be some double meaning or something that's lost there. I don't get it at all. The rules make no sense.
And
I think it's
just
very
a brawl.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very much just like it would have something to do with Korean culture, or just be a game only played there because I've never seen anything close to it.
Hopscotch. It's easily like the least exciting game of all of them.
Yeah.
I find. It's I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's what it's going to come down to, no matter what. Like, it's just going to come down to this fist fight between them anyway. But you were touching on it earlier about like it's like got like a thing with Korean history and everything like that. So I was watching this thing earlier on YouTube, and it did say something about how like the episode name of this is like called like One Lucky Day or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is like they said, Korean fans knew how this episode was going to play out the second they saw that name, because it's based off this Korean movie where
It's
this
like
guy,
like a classic short story. Yeah.
short story where this guy like wins or recovers all this debt for his sick wife and goes back to find her dead. So like they knew that would happen with the mum.
Yeah.
It seems obvious that that's going to happen. Like, especially like you don't feel like it's going to be this like he's going to save her or anything. But
I didn't see it coming. Like, I wasn't. I know when I watch things, I don't try to predict what's going to happen. So I was never
I wish
thinking
I
about her.
could. I wish I couldn't. I just can't help it. Like,
yeah, like most people do. I really just lose myself in the. So even the easiest mystery, I'm like surprised at, which is always really nice. But so I wasn't thinking about her, or I didn't see it coming, and that's actually like the highlight. That really drives home, I think, the whole like theme of the show, right? That he's done this whole thing to save his mum and to get on top, and it's like whilst he was participating in the game of capitalism, his loved ones actually died, and he never got to say goodbye, and his money can't save her.
No.
Yeah.
Like, it's the best moment, I think, in the show. Is it really like, wow, that's the cost there. We've seen it, it's paid for. Because I forgot about her as an audience member, he forgot about her as a participator in the games.
Yep.
And this is the cost finally truly realized in his life.
Yeah.
How did you guys feel about the ill name reveal of him being behind the games all along?
Didn't see it coming.
No, I can't say I did either, but I don't know that I care that much.
No, I think it's interesting, and it makes me be like, oh, I could watch it again, and like knowing that, like, I enjoy watching it. Like, I'm like, I could watch it again, but it's definitely, I don't know, it's not a thing. It was kind of tense waiting for someone to help the guy on the street, like, and the clock ticking.
I didn't mind that,
like,
that little wager, like that was pretty cool, but
yeah. But yeah, like it's interesting, and he obviously does not like him anymore.
No.
Ji-hoon is very angry at him. I was watching this whole thing about, like throughout the whole show, like he constantly greets him like with this like elderly respect, and like uses all these like really polite things. And in that last scene, he's just like angry with him. Hands him the glass with one hand, with one, like holding the glass of water with one hand, which apparently is like a significant thing. Like, you're meant to hold it and hand it with two hands to show respect to like the person you're giving it to. So a lot of cultural things in Korea that is sort of lost in translation. But yeah, it's interesting to see all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, this got spoiled for me sort of at like episode 7 or something. I think I was
Oh God.
I know everything about the show just got spoiled. But it's my fault. I was flicking through like IMDb trivia, I think, and this came up and I read it and I was like, oh, I don't know. I
Just
feel
finish
ripped
the
off.
show.
It shouldn't have been in the trivia section.
You don't like to
True,
predict
yeah.
things; you just like to spoil them for yourself, right?
Yeah, I ruined my own fun. It's my own fault. But
Yeah.
so that, and when that happened, but a similar thing, I was like, yeah, it's not a big revelation. I'm like, yeah, it was always sort of going to be a twist, right? There was never just going to be oh, this is just rich people playing. There always has to be some reveal.
Yeah.
So I sort of,
Especially we see that thing of like him being like, I'm not the mystery guy that's running it, who's not joining the VIPs this round. That's like, it's right after he exits the game after the marbles that we see him like putting
Yeah.
the mask down and stuff. But it's kind of like a thing you forget about that scene by the last episode as well. So
Yeah.
it's not really a thing, but yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I wasn't overly shocked by it. I thought it was like, I thought it adds, it was, and it does make a lot of sense. Like, why is he number one? Like, what? I don't know, things like that. Again, him on the one bunk, and you never see his death scene in the marbles, obviously.
Yeah.
So it all sort of fit up. I was like, yeah, it makes sense to me as well that the only old guy here is sort of, anyway.
Yeah, because everyone else is sort of in their prime. And then there's just this
Yeah.
one random dude who's like 80 and has a
It's-
tumor and who's like, wait a
It's
minute, why is he in this game?
Yeah.
yeah, like how did he win that game of throwing the cards on the ground, right?
Yeah.
Like you saw Gihan slamming it down and failing. How's this old dude gonna anyway?
Maybe it's not all
But
about
I like
strength.
maybe just a good point. I know. I like that reveal. I like their final conversation. He gives the whole the commonality between the very rich and the very poor is that life's no fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty true. So there's a sort of poetry to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that whole actual scene. Like it's just them alone in a room watching that guy when it's snowing, and Gihan just wins. Just manages to
Just barely.
prove him wrong. And he's like, even when he's dead, he's like, "You saw, didn't you? You saw." It's yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I think definitely with the ending with the airport thing, it's teasing just the second season, him not getting on the plane, and he's gonna go back there with his haircut. He's gonna demand to speak to the manager.
Yeah.
This is Squid Game manager.
Make a
I need to see the
complaint.
front man right now. Yeah,
Do you-
Oh, you go.
No, you go ahead. I'm going to move on.
Oh, I was say LeBron James infamously, criticized this, saying like,
Yes.
"Oh, he should have just got on the plane." And then the creator seems to be very upset about it. He keeps bringing it up, which is pretty funny. But I thought that ending was actually good. I think it's a good way of. I think it's a good way of sort of finishing up and saying like, once you do this thing, like once you've played this death game, you can't just return to normal
Can't
life.
leave, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a sense of it's both vigilante justice, but it's also like he's not going to take the opportunity because he's dirty now. Like he's part of this. He's going to participate.
Yeah.
And it raises questions like the front man became the front man when he was the winner. So it's like, yeah, were all the guards winners at some point, or is it all sort of like, yeah, it raises a lot of questions of how this works and like how deep the system goes. I don't know. Are you guys LeBron James fans, or are you?
I was
the
going to
creator
say,
fans?
man, like the creator came back with the best clapback ever, saying, "Has LeBron James watched Space Jam 2?" Yeah.
funny.
The director seems funny, but like what you're saying, you can't go back to being Walter White after you've been Heisenberg.
It's too true.
So, do you guys have any expectations for season 2?
Jun Ho coming back.
Yep,
As a giant squid.
maybe.
Yes, a kraken.
Yeah.
Yes.
The spirit of Jun Ho returns to wreak vengeance.
Yeah. I don't know what you do with this season 2. Like the game starts again. I don't know. I'm not like a writer of stories, so I wouldn't do a good job at it, but I'm not sure what would make an interesting season 2.
Yeah, it's got itself in a weird situation. Like the games are the fun part, and so if you start taking them away, what's left? Like if he starts tearing down the system, do we not get the games anymore?
Yeah, I'm genuinely wondering if we will get a second season because Netflix, and it's had a shaky history, but for the most part, Netflix has been pretty good about like canceling shows before they go too long or delivering just enough that it's like they don't go over. They don't do 7 seasons of something just to cash in. Usually,
No.
they're more inclined now to be like, yeah, 1 season was good or 2 seasons good. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a second season here, right? Like there is that mystery of is Junho alive, but
100% we get one.
Yeah, I'm pretty
with the
sure we
success
definitely
of
do.
it, there's no way they don't dip in for at least another season.
But what do they do? Because we've seen the games; they're the same games. They can't just be like, we made 6 new games now.
I assume the games will be different. I
They-
never got the impression that the games are the same every year. Maybe they are.
Oh, really?
No, they could probably do different games.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Or they will now, just because like it's now a TV show,
Yeah.
so they're like,
Yeah,
we'll
they have to.
create new games. Yeah. No, they can't. They definitely can't do the same games because that would
It's-
just be, yeah.
Because it's I think the whole point of the show though lies on the revelation of like, this is a game that we see how they're going to die here. We see how they're going to die. So to replay any game like that though, I think it would just lose the shine, right? Even if it's like, here's hopscotch, but you could die. It's like, yeah, we've seen this. We don't need to what's the point of that? I don't think the fun is in just seeing games that can kill you. The fun, like all the fun is the stakes that are raised and unraveling the mystery.
Yeah.
Like, look, there's 2 ways you can make season 2 interesting. Number 1 is have it be like, the games are happening in the background and we're just following Ji-hoon and Junho teaming up, trying to figure out what's going on, how to take down this thing. While, and then you catch glimpses of like, they're playing red light, green light back there. And like that sort of stuff. And maybe, they can talk to some of the contestants or recruit people or get them to, figure out what's going on. The only other way you make this interesting is our idea about what's the time, Mr. Wolf, and letting the wolves go.
Yeah.
Like that saves the season, I feel like.
Yeah.
Up the stakes with everyone. In the bridge crossing game, there's no safe panels. Everyone dies no matter what.
No, you just cross on the wooden planks that were this wide anyway, and you could have walked.
I know. Why did no one think of that?
Straight away. I was like, Crash Bandicoot bridge level. Don't go on the panels. Just go on the thing. Go on the actual wood panels on the sides.
Yeah.
And I was waiting for someone to do that. I was waiting for someone right at the end to just figure that out and be like, "I'll just go on here." But no,
but nothing.
they obviously didn't play Crash Bandicoot.
No. I think you see this all the time in shows that have a really great first season. The second season always becomes like a different show. Like you see it in a lot of mystery shows. They'll have like the reveal comes at the end of the crime, and then season 2 is like the court case that follows, and it's always criticized for being a lot slower and a lot different because it's not the same thing. You don't want to see.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen with this. I think, like you say, the best way is probably to have these 2 characters try to solve a mystery of how do we take the games down. But that's not Squid Game. Squid Game is Death Games.
Squid Games, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'll watch it if it comes out. I just don't know how they do it. Like I really don't.
Yeah, I think it's hard. Maybe like if the original creator's in there, maybe he can. I don't know. Maybe he had
10
an idea
years to do the first one.
But he had it written 10 years ago. He didn't take him 10 years to write it. So
yeah, true.
I think the fact he's probably like you refine it for 10 years. That's why the show is as good as it is because it's like 10 years of fine tuning.
Yeah,
he's probably got,
it's like
he's probably got 10 years of bad ideas he can put into season 2 though. So he gets a good deal out of Netflix and walks away the winner of the Squid Game.
Yep. Oof. Netflix is the real Squid Game. You're right.
I just wanted to ask. So overall, what game out of all the Squid Games would you choose to play in with like thinking you had the best chance to win? Like if you were here having to pick one to save your life or die, which one would you be like, okay, I'll play that game?
Red light, green light, easy.
Yeah. That's kind of the easiest. But you could sneeze and just boom, you're dead.
Maybe the honeycomb game.
Oh, really? I guess knowing the shapes.
If you know the shapes and you know you can lick it and you know you can take a lighter in.
Still feel like if you're holding that,
just start licking it.
Like if you just get excited and you're like accidentally twist, it just shatters, right? And you're like, oh, I'm dead now.
You guys don't know that I'm a glass expert. That's the problem. See.
And I brought all my marbles in with me.
Well, which game would you not want to play? Obviously, the glass one, because it's just like there's no skill involved. You're just gonna die if you're not
Tug
the
of War's
last
rough
player.
too with the wrong team, but anyway.
Yeah. If you've got a lovable old man to give you advice, it's good. But I don't. Also, Squid Game itself, because I don't know how it works.
Yeah,
you run
I
around
still
in
don't
circles
understand
Fist
that
fight,
game.
man. It's just a fist fight.
If I remember, like in the opening scene of the first, they go through all the rules. He's like, you run to the left, and then you become the postman or something, and then you can jump through this line. And at one point, you can
don't get it.
Yeah.
They explain the rules at the start, and then
it
I
makes
still don't know.
no sense.
It's like
no
how to
sense
play
at all.
Yeah, like Blurns Ball and Futurama. They keep giving you new rules, but none of them seem to make any sense together.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, overall, how did you guys feel? Like, did you love the show? You hate the show? Do you think it deserves the praise it gets?
I was gonna say I understand why it's popular. Like I think these types of like escape room, death game movies are really popular at the moment. Like they're really popping off.
Yep.
And I think that it's a good show for the first 6 episodes. Once the VIPs come in, I think it really goes downhill. I think the last 2 games kind of suck. And I think it doesn't. Yeah, like you said, there's a lot of loose ends. Like some of those endings just do not pay off.
No.
I mean, I feel like Ali was the person that was like holding off the dark spirits of the VIPs. Once he went, the VIPs came in, the crap games happened. It all just fell downhill after.
Wouldn't the VIPs want to be there from the start? Like it makes no sense for
them. Yeah,
to...
what's up with that? They missed all the exciting games.
Yeah.
They watched the glass one and the Squid Game. Like it's like, how funny is that?
Well, they say it online. They're like, you know, this last game you've got to see in person or something.
Watch them jump through this glass.
Oh, I think he's talking about a fist fight. But why would you watch a fist fight?
No,
that's much less exciting than the other parts.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the show. Like I loved the vibe of it. Like I said before we started recording, I really like the music in it. Like there's that haunting tune, you know, that plays when the soldiers are getting ready and everything like that. That I really really enjoy. And like them 2 or 3 days that I was watching this, like I was hyped every day at work, being like, okay, cool. Tonight, put the kids to bed, watch some Squid Game. Like I was really excited to keep watching it. And I feel like, I don't know, you know, other than Parasite, like it's fascinating to see like a Korean show be so popular in like the Western world, like and in pop culture, like this show that I hope most people watched subbed, you know. Like it's I don't know, like it's interesting, I think, for more people to get this better idea of others' culture and other types of film and all this sort of stuff. And was unique, and I really enjoyed it. We didn't really touch on the bad English dub, but
none of
it's
us
really
watched
bad.
it though.
No,
I turned it on for one scene just to see what it was like. But it's bad. Like I tried to watch Money Heist the same way, like just for a scene, and it's shocking there too. It just doesn't work.
I've seen like 2 or 3 clips on YouTube of just like certain scenes, and it's so bad. It's like it's really really bad. I know someone who like I recommended the show to, and then they said they loved it, and then told me they watched it dubbed, and I just like I don't want to talk to that person ever again. Like I'm like, you uncultured swine.
No, see, like I really don't want to go down that path of being like a snob about it. Like you get anime fans who are like that, who are like, if you watch...
No, anime dweebs are different, man. Dragon Ball Z dubbed is the best.
I don't know if they are though, right? It's the same thing where, like, I agree, subbed is infinitely better. Like, so much more gets lost in translation with dub, and there's already like a huge amount that gets lost in translation in the subtitle, and you can't change that.
Yeah,
but I just like, if somebody watches this show, like this friend of yours, this person watches this show that they would have never watched normally, and they see a Korean show, that's still a win. It's like, great, you guys watch something that's not made by the West. I'm super proud of you. You know, maybe next time you'll watch it with subtitles. It'll be
learn to
better.
read, people. Like,
look, you've got baby steps, man. Baby steps.
Yeah.
Because if that's like the obstacle of them getting there, and they're like, I won't watch anything subtitled, but I will watch it dubbed. I'm like, look, that sucks. I hope you change, but you should still do that then, because it's still better to watch this.
That's reasonable with is Dragon Ball Z, because Dragon Ball Z is superior in dubbed.
No, the Yu-Gi-Oh anime was also very well dubbed. Joey had a Jersey accent. Oh, so good.
Yeah, I'm Joey. It was
exactly.
great.
It was wonderful.
Oh, what are the
Yeah.
cards?
Yeah, I can't stand the dub things, but they need to do it because it's just going to be it makes it easier for some people. And like you say, more Korean stuff needs to be seen. Like Parasite changed the world in some ways.
Can't imagine watching Parasite dubbed though.
Me neither. It would be woeful, but I still think if some people would watch that and go, that was really interesting. Wow, this is weird. I'll watch something else. Oh, I really like Parasite. I might try it in sub this time. Bam, we got someone who's, a participant now.
True. No gatekeeping here. Watch what you want to watch.
That's better.
However you want to.
Better.
I'll gatekeep some stuff.
Yeah.
But we'll come back to that.
All right. Has anybody got any final thoughts on Squid Game?
Real quick on the VIPs. I hate the fact that one dude goes on. He has that weird arc where he takes Junho into the room and he's going to get him to perform Felicia. We talked about it on a some trilogy we did, where it's like a tired writing trope where if you want to show a character's really evil, you show them being this like sexually creepy,
sexually deviant. Yeah.
Yeah, and be all this creepy fat old guys like wants to take this young Asian dude into a room. Like, we get it. They're evil. They're killing people for sport. We don't need to just have this weird tacked on sex scene. It doesn't
There's a
go
way
anywhere.
for him to get him alone to then interrogate him and ask him stuff.
Yeah, I feel like there must be a better than dipping into the pool of rich sexually deviant men.
We like don't need any more to know that they're bad people other than just watching them acting for a while. So yeah.
Yeah, that's my final thought.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us on The Good, the Bad, and the Worst while we discussed a TV show. Next week, we are doing all of the, what's his name?
Daniel Craig.
The Daniel Craig James Bond movie. Sorry. Totally left my brain. So all of the Daniel Craig James Bond movies, there's 5 of them in total. We're going to do our best to get to the one that's currently coming up into the cinemas.
No Time to Die.
Include that in our review. So, join us in a fortnight for those 5 James Bond movies. This episode was brought to you by The Taste of Iron by C.V. Clarke. I remembered to get it up on my phone this week because I don't have a hard copy yet. Conan, do you want to give us a little
3
spiel?
copies. Yeah, I wrote a spiel down this time.
If you think the English dub was horror,
wait till you see me attempt to write in English. Brought to you by a new novel, Taste of Iron. A disgraced lawman is forced to delve into the burning hell of the Australian frontier in a hunt for justice, but only darkness awaits him. If you like Squid Game or Australian Gothic horror westerns, this is the book for you. Pick it up from Amazon on ebook or paperback.
Very, very nice. If you enjoy listening to us talk about movies and TV shows, we also do a podcast about video games called Bonus XP. Join us for that. And tell everyone about us. Tell your mum, tell your dad, tell your childhood friend who's in a lot of debt. Tell everybody about the good, the bad, and the worst. And thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next time.
That last hand nearly killed me.
We don't do Bond yet.
No, I was meant to say the last game nearly killed me, and it's like Squid Game and leading into James Bond. I wrecked it.
I respect that. I respect the effort.
Yeah.